In this video, I have brought 10 mating 2 puzzles which are very tricky. So let's go. This is our first puzzle. You can pause the video and solve this and go for the solution. And let me know in the comment how many of the solution you found actually and which you felt as the hardest one. So this is our first puzzle. We'll be talking about the solution of each of the puzzles. So this is our first puzzle. Here we have a knight and our queen. For now, a king can capture this because it is not defended. And we have to force a mate in 2. That we can do in a very easy way by restricting the number of squares. And if you see enough, like good enough times, then this is the only solution that you will find figure out. It was the easy one, so I like directly pointed out the solution. From next one, I will like explain the process. Here, just see this. King has very few choice. So by calculation, we can like king can only go here or here. That are the only two choices. If the king goes here, then that will be a discovered checkmate. Remember, this will be covered. So yeah, and if the king goes here, this will be a checkmate. So by simple calculation, we could do this. So if king goes here, this is the checkmate, and if king goes here, that's the checkmate. Let's go to the next one. Puzzle number 2. Okay, we'll be talking about solution. You can pause the video and go for the solution yourself. Here, this pawn cannot move. This pawn cannot move. As long as the queen is here, this bishop cannot move. So either we move the queen away from here, then we can do one thing. Like let's say we move the queen all the way here and going for this as a checkmate. But if you do so, then he will just play a check and we go here, capture this. He plays this as a queen check, promotes to a queen check. We'll capture this and it's not mating 2. So we'll force somehow the queen on this diagonal without moving the bishop from there, and that will be a checkmate. So all of this can only be achieved by limiting his like legal moves. So we sacrifice our rook on h1. Now this bishop cannot move because of the pin. Pawn cannot move, so he has to promote to something, even to a queen or bishop, anything does not matter. And next move, on the next move we capture this, and that's the mate. Puzzle number 3. This is the puzzle. Here it's very tricky again. So we'll be talking about solution directly. A queen is here defending this. This is defending this. But whenever he captures like that, if a bishop captures this, that is not the checkmate. But if the queen captures that, then that will be a checkmate because the bishop is here and the king cannot really move. And if he moves the pawn here, or here, then we can capture with the queen and that will be a checkmate. If he moves the rook somewhere, then we can capture it, it will be a checkmate. If he captures the bishop, we can capture it with the queen and that will be a checkmate. So we have to make a move which will allow our queen to go here, and also the queen should be protecting the bishop. So that move is bishop g2. Here now, whenever he pushes, this pawn 1 or 2 squares, we will capture and that will be a checkmate. If he moves somewhere here, that will be a checkmate. If he captures this, that will be a checkmate. If he moves somewhere here, we will capture and that will be a checkmate. If he captures this, then that will be a checkmate. So let's do this. Checkmate. However it is, you understood. Puzzle number next. Here the rook is here, bishop is here. Two like major pieces. So this rook is doing some job, not letting the bishop to move like the earlier, like one of the puzzle earlier. King is here, restricting these squares. So somehow, if our bishop could land here, then that would be a checkmate, isn't it? So see this, the bishop cannot move, this pawn cannot move, can't move. Only this pawn can move. This pawn also cannot move. So somehow, if you bring the bishop here on the next move, then it will be a checkmate. That we can do by only one move if you eliminate all of them. Pawn d4. Now this pawn cannot move, but this pawn can do in passant, which is the only legal move in this position, and on the next move we do deliver the checkmate. Let's go to the next one. It's again very tricky. Remember, the knight is covering that square, so king has no legal moves to make. This pawn cannot move, and this cannot capture here because of this pin, and you cannot even push this because of the same pin. So we have to give him one legal move at least, or more than that. And then on the next move, we need to deliver the checkmate. So if you try moving bishop here or here, with the idea of getting here on the next one with a checkmate. Let's say he pushes a pawn 1 or 2 squares. Like let's say we move the bishop here and he pushes the pawn somewhere 1 or 2 squares. On the next move, we can do this as a checkmate. But the problem is that if you push the bishop, I mean, if you move the bishop here or here, he can actually capture the knight. On the next move, if we go here, this square is not protected and the king can actually move there. So we need to like unpin this bishop from this diagonal, and also create a threat of covering this square on the next move. So that we can only do if our rook somehow, I mean, moves here. Now he has three choice: either to push 1 or 2 squares or to capture this. It does not really matter even if he captures. In all of the cases, this will be a checkmate. Let's go the next one. It's again a tricky one. We have two bishops. We are covering these squares. He can capture this or push somewhere. We have a rook here as well. So now in these positions, if he moves the bishop somewhere, then that will be a checkmate. Remember, if he moves the rook somewhere, so that will be a check. I mean, bishop takes here will be a checkmate. So it's kind of forced to not move these kids. So we only need to deal about pawn captures this, because even pawn moves here or here doesn't really matter. It will be a checkmate. So if pawn captures the rook, how it can be a checkmate? So it can only be a checkmate if this rook can give a check from here, and this bishop cannot block it because of this pin. So that we can activate by moving king here, here, or here. Now we have three squares, but only one is the source. See this: if we move the king here, he can give us this check, and if we capture this with a check, he moves the rook here. On the next move, it will be a mate, but it will take three moves. So this square is eliminated. Now remember this or this. If we go here, he can give this check, and if we capture this, on the next move only we can do some checkmates. So it will also take three moves. So the only left square is this, which has no any check from him, and the king is safe here. So that is the solution. Now he has few choices. If he moves the rook somewhere on this, then that will be a checkmate. If he moves the bishop somewhere, then that will be a checkmate. If he moves the pawn somewhere, that will be a checkmate. If he captures this, then that will be a checkmate. Let's go next one. It is so clouded here, but the solution is very clear. See this pawn cannot move. This knight cannot move because of the pin. This rook cannot move. So only piece left is moving the bishop on this time. It does not really matter wherever you move. If our queen is here or a rook is here, then we can do this checkmate on the next move. That's the very easy thing. So we promote this simply to a rook. Wherever he moves does not really matter. Let's say he moves here, or even attacks the queen, does not really matter. On the next move, we are going to do the checkmate. So it's kind of very beautiful. Like all the way here, it looks like there must be some very hard trick, but the trick is very easy. Just promote and do the knight. So trickless, I mean, puzzles are also tricky. Okay, one new puzzles of tricky puzzles. These three are the participants, right, to do the checkmate. If he moves somewhere like this, then we can take and do the checkmate. If he moves somewhere like this, we can do a checkmate. If he moves the pawn, we can go from the diagonal and do the checkmate. But the problem is, if he moves the rook here, let's say, and if we capture this with a check, he can capture this, and that's not mate. So we need to create an active threat so that whenever he moves the rook, we can do the checkmate on the next move. That we can only achieve, and we also need to defend kind of these things. Right now, like the queen is defending both of them. So that we can only do by queen c3. Here we are defending any of them, like both of them. If he captures, so we can capture back and make the checkmate. If he moves the pawn somewhere, we can do the checkmate. Or if we can even do from the diagonal, more beautiful. Isn't it? Because both of the rooks are pinned. You cannot move any of them like that because of these pins. So now whatever he does, and also we are threatening this. So if he does something like this, we can do this as a checkmate. The second last puzzle. It's a very beautiful. The geometry is very beautiful here. The pawn is defending this. The bishop is defending this. We have a bishop here. So let's just say, like the king, where can the king move? Can't go here, can't go here. Only the king can move here. So when the king moves here, this can be a checkmate. Because the knight will be defending this, the bishop will be defending this. But how about this square? This square also defends of the knight. But we need to make a move. If you move the king somewhere, let's say here or even here, anywhere, doesn't really matter. Then when the king is here and we deliver this as a checkmate, check. And if the king is moved here, he can actually escape to these squares. If the king is here, he can escape to this square. So the king must be here. We need to make a move. So we can move here and promote to anything. So now what to promote? I mean, what to promote? That's the question. Can we promote to a queen? Not really, because he cannot capture this. It will be defended by the queen, and that's a stalemate completely. Can we promote to a bishop? Black bishop? No. It will again be a stalemate. So queen, no. Bishop, no. Knight or the rook. If we promote to a knight, that will not be defending this kid. So we need to promote to a rook. And then he captures this, and that's the next checkmate. So see this how beautifully the knight is placed here, which is defended by the this. This is defended by this, and the knight is defending this rook. And knight is also defending this. Rook is also defending this, and the king is covering two escape squares from this net, and that's the mate. The last one. It's again a very tricky. If you cannot solve this, then it might take very longer to realize what's the solution. But if you can like solve it correctly and carefully, you can solve it in very easy way. What is he threatening? He's threatening to deliver a check, and however we capture, it does not really matter. It will not be a checkmate. That is his threat. Okay. Now, if we give any checks like this, it's not a checkmate remember, because he can always come here. It will take 3 moves to checkmate, not in 2 moves. It is surely checkmate in 3 if you go here, and then that is mate in 3. But you need to mate in 2. So that's the major threat. How can we stop this threat? Let's say if we go here, if we go here, trying for the mate on the next move, we can simply remove, go with the threat. So if we can pin this to the king, let's say, with queen g1, can it be a checkmate on the next move? Because now, if he moves the king somewhere, queen takes the here will be a checkmate. If he moves the rook somewhere on this, then simple king a7 is a checkmate because rook is covering this, another rook will be giving check from this. So it does not really matter whatever he does. It is checkmate on the next move. If he moves the king somewhere, remember he cannot move the rook somewhere like that, so he needs to move the rook on same file. If he moves the rook, that's the checkmate. If he moves the king here or here, or even here, it does not really matter. That's the checkmate. So that's the solution of this puzzle. Let's let him capture the queen and deliver this mate. And discover checkmate. Okay, how was these puzzles? These puzzles, let me know in the comments. What do you think about this? And tomorrow or after some days, I will be bringing some really tough made in 2 puzzles and other video suggestions you can give me, and you can watch about other videos. Do hit the like button, subscribe, and for now this is it. Have a good time. Bye bye.